Oh my gosh, you guys, it's a special edition of the podcast this week. I'm really excited to do this show for two reasons: the topic and our guest today, who I'm excited to introduce you to. I have just completed watching the full first season of Heated Rivalry on HBO
Woohoo!
Max, and I am shook. I am triggered. I am emotional. I am very turned on. And so I have invited the old friend of mine who got me to watch the show in the first place. It's obviously been a phenomenon. It's one of those. It's in the zeitgeist. One of those things that everyone's talking about. Everyone's posting about. It's a word of mouth situation that it really is just like something that no marketing budget could buy. And I also want
Mm-mm.
to get into why it has such a wide appeal. But to talk about it with us today is my dear friend. You're going to love her. It's Leila.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy you wanted to come on.
Thanks for the invite. I
Well, listen,
appreciate it. I am honored.
I'm honored because I think you and I go way back. Before we get into Heated Rivalry, I just want to give people some context. I've known you since we were 18, 19-year-olds college kids in New York City.
Yes, yes, indeed.
And and there we had some times. We had some great times.
We did, yeah. Um, uh, I just like picture us in the subway. We had this like photo shoot. I wish I
I'm
could send it.
I was thinking the exact same thing. So we would go to Blockheads and drink $3 margaritas, which we were when we were underage because they didn't card, and then and
Uh-huh.
then and then we would be let loose onto the city, and that yeah, we would do wild and crazy photo shoots. Probably not my most attractive image of me that exists, but we're adorable and we're like 19 years old. It's because it's a specific type of drunk that you get at that age. That's not an adult drunk.
No, no, no.
It's like alcohol hits the body, and then it's like kids that age, like they want to play up the drunk, whereas like at this age I'm playing down the drunk, it's like you
So
want to
accurate.
advertise the drug at that age, and like it's a complete opposite game now. But I think very fondly back on those times.
I do too as well.
And you still live in New
Yeah,
York, right?
I do, and still in Queens. Um, and I feel like I'm never gonna leave.
Because you never have, right?
Well, there was a brief period where I was like upstate for school, but the city has always brought me back in, and there's no reason for me to leave.
Yeah, you are a true New Yorker, and congratulations, you just got married.
I did. Thank you, thank you.
You're a newlywed. How does it feel?
It feels the same.
Okay.
Basically because we were like living together. So like
How
it's
long
just
have you been together in total?
well, we met in October of 21, and then we officially started dating in May of 22
How did you
because
meet?
in Tinder.
Beautiful. I love an app success story.
So do I.
He is so cute. You guys are so cute together. I'm a big fan of the pics that you post, and
Oh
you're
yeah.
like a really fucking cute couple.
Thank you. He is pretty hot, so thanks so
It
much.
helps. It helps.
It does.
And also something that I think is an interesting uh, fact about you is I'm really interested in your job. From what I understand, and hopefully I'm not too off, but like you're one of the people that like picks locations for where stuff is shot, right?
Yeah, so basically I'm a freelance location manager, currently unemployed, hopefully employed soon. Basically, depending on what projects I'm on, we get sent a script and then we have to find locations,
That's
whatever
so
it
fucking
is.
cool. And I
Yeah.
imagine there's a lot of negotiation between like what the script calls for and the budget and all that stuff, right? Like tax
Yes.
credits and comes into play.
And also like, what you read is not necessarily what like the director has in his head or what
Right.
like the production designer has in their head. So like it's all a battle.
I would
But
imagine
it's
sometimes
fun.
it's really fun. I would imagine it's really fun, but then also sometimes really challenging if the script calls for something like, where the fuck do we find this?
Yeah. Like, where can we do Africa? Oh, well, we found it in like a park in
Right.
New Jersey. So
Right,
like it's
right.
stuff like that. So.
I always thought I love seeing your names in the credits of things and stuff like that. But I'm so happy about your wedding, and I think your job is so cool. And so you and I like I feel like one of my favorite things about social media and friendship is that you can sort of like keep an eye on people's lives as in sort of like a passive way as we're all living it. Like you're
Yeah.
somebody I've been following on social media since we were kids, and like I feel like I have an idea of what your life looks like, even though we don't get to see each other all the time. And also like you sort of like it's like you're friends as tastemakers. Like like we grew up on the same music. So like if you're
Yes.
really if you were a big Justin Timberlake head, I was like in the way that I was a big Mariah
Hmm.
head, and like so like if you're really excited about something and you're posting about it a lot, like that has more cachet to me than like influencers with a lot of followers or stuff like that, because I know you and I know what you like, that our tastes are similar. So when the heated rivalry stuff, and it's really like all in like the last 3 weeks, it was just suddenly
Really.
everyone's talking about it, and everything's bananas. But like sometimes when all of the gays get really into something, I don't really like jump on board right away, because there are some aspects of gay culture that like I resent it. I resent that like it's assumed like about me that I have X, Y, and Z interests just because of who I'm
Yeah.
banging. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and like I don't like God bless RuPaul's Drag Race, but it's never interested me. So like, there's just
Hmm.
certain like gay culture things where I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. What became immediately evident was that this show had a lot of hot guys in it showing a lot of body, and I was like,
Yes.
well, that sounds good. And then so okay, so the show is Heated Rivalry, and the premise is there are these two professional hockey players who start fucking and then falling in love, and it's a long-term love story. And so I'm getting the basic premise. I'm like, it sounds like porn, but it sounds hot. And then I'm starting to hear that it's not just gay dudes who are watching it. It's really getting popular with women. And you're a straight lady, as we've established. And so I'm curious how you got into it and why you think that appeal extends broadly.
Oh, I mean, they're really hot, so it's great to look at that. But also, like, that's what brings you in, like you said. But like the slow burn of like a relationship and just like watching it unfold is like you're invested. So yeah, I want to like see it through.
It's like in an age of instant gratification and like mini clips, it's almost like we're sort of starved of slow burns a little
Yeah.
in entertainment. And so I'm seeing things about it, and then when you posted about it, I was like, and you were posting about it a lot, and I was like, if they've
Yeah.
gotten Leila, then there's something there. And I DM'd you, and I was like, okay, if you're on board, then I think I got to get in. And your response killed me, and it's also why I wanted to have you on. Do you remember what you said?
It's the yearning.
Yeah, you go, it's the yearning. And I was like, that is such a funny answer. But also, then I watched, and it's so on point. And the whole show has triggered a lot of stuff about modern gay sex and dating and how
Yeah.
it plays out. And in an age where we have so many options, and the show takes place mostly 10 years ago, but there's apps, and these guys are famous athletes, and they have so much access to sleep with anybody. And then it's like a love story about like over time, two people who just cannot get over each other despite having
Hmm.
a wealth of options.
Yeah.
And
It.
it was funny on the View they were talking about it, and Joy Behar was like, "Oh, like the women must be into it for the romance of it." And then Sunny Host, the rest of the panel was like, "Girl, you haven't watched it yet. It is so fucking hot." And I mean, so this is the thing too, is that like, of course, women, these men are gorgeous, stunning. Like, of course, this is for you too. You know?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because it's like it's that classic thing of like, straight dudes love like watching lesbians make out and stuff like that. Like, I know a lot of straight women who enjoy a man on man. It's a popular genre for some straight ladies.
Yeah. I am no stranger to that, as I've watched like Queer as Folk and other shows. But
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
but these sex scenes are pretty intense.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
And they're consistent. And so And the dynamic is really interesting because you've got Ilya Rozanov, who's the Russian, and then Shane Hollander, who's the Canadian guy, and he's you got this aggressive Russian dude and this sweet, soft other guy, and you can kind of see how that dynamic is going to play out. But like, what was confusing for me was that I identified so much with Ilya, but I
Hmm.
also am so that's also my type. So like,
Oh,
yes, so it's confusing, and this is very much a like mirror to my dating life because I think sometimes with gay relationships, people assume like who's the top, who's the bottom, who's the
yeah.
lady, who's the guy, and it's like it can be so much more complicated than that. One thing that this show does a great representation of, which was the term verse, like which stands for versatile, which is a guy who tops and
Hmm.
bottoms, and I was like, there's some good verse representation going on here because there's in the what's the Kip and Hunter Scott
Got,
Hunter, yeah,
got, yeah.
like there's a scene where like you sort of assume Scott's the dom, and then Kip's like, hey, can I fuck you now? And he's like, sure. And it's like, I'm glad that people get to see like that's how it works too. But like, but the crazy thing about Ilya Rozanov is like he's really aggressively pursuing Shane Hollander, his rival in hockey. They're rookies in their rookie season, and it's a high stakes situation because nobody can be out, right? Everyone's
Right.
closeted.
Yep.
And Ilya like goes in, and I was like, "Oh my god, he flirts like me!" Like it just so aggressively. And then like after they bang, like when he's like, "Remember when I made you come hands free?" Like he's cocky as fuck. And then like I thought it was really cute when they're texting each other, and his teammate like notices like he's texting Hollander, but he thinks his teammates think he's texting a girl, and he's like, "Wow, this girl's really got you. She's got you blushing." And he's like,
Yeah.
"I've never blushed once in my life. Russians do not do this." Like I
Right. Yeah.
literally, it's so sweet, but like I was like, "Oh man!" Like it hit me like oh, that's who I am and what I want. And is that part of the problem? Like, do you think there's a world where there could be a two Ilias in a couple?
I feel like there would be like a struggle, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like eh, who's gonna, I don't know. There's like a lot of conflict can happen out of that. Like,
Well,
you
it's
know,
interesting too because like, initially Ilya's the dom, but like there are many ways in which he gives it back. Like and I think that
yeah.
there's an interesting story to be told about like relationship power dynamics as they relate to sexual power dynamics that's a little bit more complicated with gay sex than it is like it's it, not to say that straight sex isn't like as interesting, but it's just sort of like but also that's an oversimplification too, because I know that a lot of like women can be dominant in bed, even though they're technically the
Yeah.
bottoms. Like, how did, what was your take on like the aspects of the show that you could relate to, or were there?
I mean, like I'm gonna say the courting because it wasn't really that, but it's just like, the text back and forth. Like, you haven't texted me in like 6 months. And he's like, it's like, what do you want from me? I forget what episode that is. But like, it's just will they or won't they? Like,
Did you, with your husband, like, were you, like, how long did it take from how long was that, the process of like, okay, now we're like a couple from the meeting?
well, kind of like the last episode, he was like, we were out at somebody's birthday party and he was like, someone asked him, like, who are you? I was like, I'm her boyfriend. I was like, you are? Like that kind of
Oh
like
my
what happened.
God. That's so hot.
So I was, it's kind of like that. It
And
started off
how long in was that? You said a couple months.
7 months. Yeah, so
Was
my yeah,
was that something that you were like actively looking for? Because you were on Tinder, but like sometimes we're just on Tinder to be on Tinder. Like, was that something that you were
yeah.
seeking out?
No, and it just like kind of like happened. And
Well,
he wasn't looking for that either. So it
interesting.
just, yeah, it
Well,
kind of
I my
happened.
thing is like with relationships, I don't. I, I go back and forth on this because I don't think I don't believe in looking for a relationship because it's like you're filling a job vacancy and like I that's not
Yeah,
the type of relationship I want to have. I want it to be something organic. And what's so interesting, it's insane on the show, you guys, how much time elapses in between like when they're seeing each other. Like how about when like you get like one text a summer from each other? I would die. Like I can't. I need so much more attention than that. But what's
yeah,
but despite all this time going by and despite each of them seeing other people and having other options, they can't quit each other, and it's something so
yep,
potent. And I think like that's, but at the same time I'm like, but I you never get anything in life unless you like, I don't know, you sort of have to walk with intention too. So I think where I've landed with this is that I'm not seeking a relationship, but I'm ready for one because I have a therapist and I'm working out my shit. So it's like when the right, like I want to be fully formed when the right one, like I don't want to fuck it up if the right one comes along. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Did you feel like you were in a good you were in a good space when you guys met too? Like was that part of it too, that you were sort of like you had your shit together enough for it to work?
yeah. I
Yeah.
think that definitely have like helped with that for sure.
Where is your husband from?
And Long Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a huge, because on this show a huge part of it is the cultural difference of, you know, Ilya Rozanov is so Russian and he's so standoffish at first, but then the passion comes out.
Ugh,
And then once like I love that scene when Ilya's really going through it and he's like, "Oh, I have too much for English right now." And Shane says, "Well, just tell me how you feel in Russian." And he's confessing his love for him in Russian. And Shane doesn't know Russian, but you sort of feel like he's getting the point. It's like such a beautiful scene. Leila, the amount of crying I was doing was really, it was so like,
same.
well, and like this has happened when, okay, good, not just me, because this has happened when I watched like Saltburn and like Call Me by Your Name and like one episode of Euphoria where like it's triggering things in me that I don't really fully understand. But I have to say, like with dating in LA and New York and being with dudes who have apps and like no fucking attention span, like you sort of get the messaging that like what the beautiful romance that goes on in this series, like what kept popping into my head was, oh, do we get to have this? Like, do I get to have this? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when at the end that scene you referenced about like when he's Elio refers to himself as Shane's boyfriend and Shane's like my boyfriend. Like I totally related to that. Like because he was probably like there were so many times when they were both like we could never be, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
They said that
yeah,
several times.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then like so like that was like whoa. I loved like, and they keep like reconnecting over the years, and like you can just sense like the excitement in like being with each other again, and
Hmm.
like the growth of each of those characters. Like I thought it was so cute when they were, because they're what's part of the tension of this is that they are on rivaling teams, so they are going to run into each other every so often to play against each other, and so they both end up at the Pro Bowl, and you know, even though nobody knows, it's been, you know, they haven't seen each other in forever, they start acting like a couple, like around each other, you know, like that's like that scene when like they're acting like a couple that's at a resort vacation, like when Ilya's in the pool with the kids and he's playing with the kids, and then he gets out of the pool and he's like, Shane, give me your credit card, like I gotta buy these kids food. Like it's like how you treat your husband. Did you with and so I want to once again bring it back, like before he referred to himself as your boyfriend, were things already feeling coupley, like naturally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Just no labels, you know?
Does that, because some people freak out no labels, that helps, because some people freak out when you get like, I've definitely been guilty of like jumping the gun on acting like, so, like I'll do it like in a flirtatious way, but like some people get like that freaks people, that scares people sometimes, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but in the case of Heated Rivalry, like, and then there's this other whole plot line with Scott Hunter and Kip where they unlike Ilya and Shane, have a really like quick sort of like, oh, now they're like
So quick.
living together. Um, but the problem is he has to keep Kip a complete secret. And so they're a functioning couple, except, and it really, I mean, like, I think it's not just a gay thing. Like, I think a lot of people know what it's like to have been kept a secret and how that, like, really fucking
Yeah.
sucks. What did you make of their whole storyline?
I mean, it was so fast. It's such a cute story, but like so fast.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was like a month.
Yeah.
Crazy timeline for that to
And they
happen.
met because he was the juice bar guy, and
You
Scott
got a
Hunter would,
smoothie.
yeah, the smoothie guy, and then he'd tip him $1 billion, and then, but like, even though it was so smooth at the beginning, like, they can't even be at events like standing seen talking to each other. Like, it was like
Yeah.
painful to watch. Oh, okay, here's another thing that I noticed on this show: the role of the women in these
Uh,
men's lives. Did you notice that they all really benefited from and leaned on supportive women in them?
yes.
Yes.
And such like positive roles. Like
Yes.
help them move their relationships along.
Well,
Definitely.
so many of these stories, it's either like the quote unquote term fag hag, where it's like the girl who's all of her friends are gay guys, but and they're almost used as props. And then the other trope is like women getting lied to by men who are secretly closeted, and like it's always framed as like, oh, like, how could he? But in this show, so many of the female characters are extremely sensitive to and supportive of what they're going through. There's a point where Shane is dating a famous actress, and she's putting together, oh, he's probably gay, and she's so kind about it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then like Ilya has the same support from a woman
So,
who wants to be his girlfriend, but realizes that he's in love with Jane, and there's that scene where she says, Jane's a lucky guy because she has
yeah.
put it together,
She knows. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought like, wow, I loved that and then Kip has a best lady friend who intervenes with Scott Hunter and is like, what are you doing with my Kip? And I feel like
Yeah.
so many gay guys have women in their lives who have played that kind of a role. Did
It's
you
beautiful.
did okay? So, what were there any scenes or episodes or storylines that really like resonated to you, or that just like really stood out as like different or original?
I mean, uh, the whole like Scott and Kip, like, immediate connection, moving, 100 miles per hour, just like moved in together. Like it was like too fast. I don't know, is
Yeah.
it too fast for me? But I'm glad they inserted that story because like they are the original couple of this whole book series that it's all based off
Oh,
of.
they are. I didn't know that because it
Yeah,
is based on a book, which I haven't read,
yeah.
obviously.
It's like the second book, I think. But like Scott and Kip are called the Game Changers. So like they come the reason why, they come out when he wins the Stanley Cup or whatever it's called in the
Yes.
show.
Yes.
And so that allows Ilya and Shane to go to the cottage, which is also a beautiful
Oh,
thing.
I'm coming to the cottage.
Coming to the cottage.
You have no idea how many times around the house this week I've just done Hollander. I can't not do Ilya's accent. But dude, that's why that kind of guy is my type. Is I always say like I love a make it happen guy, and like Ilya's emotionally withholding until he isn't, and then
Yeah.
once and like they say that about Russian guys. It's like once you're in with them,
It's like,
but yeah, so like it's interesting because at first it could be oversimplified, and you could say like, oh, why, oh, so just because there was another a gay hockey player, now we can be together, that solves everything. But like there were other their relationship had to get to that point, and like there was so much that they had to work through. The father had to die, you know what I mean? Like there was so that
yeah.
it was like that example happened, it was like the final straw. But like it's an interesting thing about how patience is something that I struggle with. But like they had so many barriers to work through that like it sort of had to take so many years, even though it's kind of tragic that they had to go through
Yeah.
that agony.
Yeah.
But it goes
It's
back
like,
to the like you both have to be ready, you know?
yeah. And they finally, it took Shane getting a concussion and
Oh my
and
God.
Kevin Scott coming out for it to be like, all right, we're gonna take a vacation together
Well, yeah,
just
and
to be
like,
alone.
I definitely saw like around the time of the yeah, that's the thing too is they needed like a condensed time alone. Around the time of the confessing his feelings in Russian, that was around the time that Ilya's going through all this like family turmoil, and it's also when he finally allows Shane to take care of him, and
Yeah,
he cries in his arms and he lets him hold him, and I think that also too like when gay relationships get so reduced to who's the top or who's the bottom, like it erases the fact that like so many things that are beautiful about a romantic relationship is like the give and take and like the being there emotionally or however when one of you is down, but that also requires the vulnerability. Do you think that you're somebody who is easily emotionally vulnerable, or do you think you keep it kind of buttoned up and you
oh no, no,
selectively?
like I'm it takes a little bit for me to open up for sure.
Is it like it has to be with the right person, or even with people you're close to in your life, like you sort of have to be in the right headspace to?
I mean, it's like it honestly just like depends on the person. Like my family, it's kind of like more open than I wouldn't be around someone else. But
Yeah.
it definitely like, like dating or whatever, like I'm not gonna open up until it's right, you know, and
So
you
was
deserved.
well. So how did your now husband earn that?
I think it's just like I would say slow burn, but like the 7 months of us like hooking up and then turning into something more. And then like you know, you realize like, oh, I actually like him. Oh, I might love him.
Well, and that's another thing about the show, and that it's funny that that was your experience as well. Is that like, you know how like the traditional advice is like, don't put out on the first date, or like why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free. But like I think a lot of modern relationships start with hooking up, and then you realize
Yeah.
you like hanging out.
Yeah.
Because also, let's get the chemistry part. Let's make sure the physical chemistry is there because we're gonna need it, And then
Yeah.
and then yeah, like there's this engaged couple that I hung out with recently, and they they I was like, what's the magic here? Because I was like, oh, this is like basically they seemed like a really secure couple.
Hmm.
And I was like, what's the magic? And they were like, we just like we're hooking up, and then we realized we liked being around each other all the time. And I was like, oh, it can just be like that.
Yeah.
I get I the hookup part is easy for me. It's finding somebody who wants to be around me.
Wow.
Leila, do you think I would from somebody who's known me for many years, do you think I would be a giant pain in the ass to date, or do you think I would be a joy?
I think you'd be a joy.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you crack me up. So,
Thank I can do I what I always say is I can make you laugh, and or I can make him laugh, and I can like it's the opposite of somebody who's withholding sexually. I'm like, does any time this is open all days, all day long. No one who dates me is gonna be like, oh man, I haven't had sex in forever. But I do need a lot of attention. So I'm gonna ask you what you did for New Year's Eve, but it's relevant to the conversation that we're having. Did you do anything for New Year's Eve?
yeah, we went to Montreal
Oh,
for
that's
two
right.
days. Yeah.
Was
Just to
was
be
there was it
cold
just
as shit.
rando, or was it like was there something going on?
No, it was just random. And it's funny because everyone's like, oh, are you gonna are you gonna see Shane Hollander while you're there? It's just like it was just so funny.
So
Montreal of all places.
even heated rivalry is in the Montreal zeitgeist, which makes sense. I would like to see
Yeah.
Shane Hollander. Although it's also really interesting too how much Connor's story is not like Ilya at all.
No.
That's
Like
acting.
they're and Hudson Williams too.
Oh,
Totally
really?
different. Yeah.
Well, because Connor is, he's not Russian, first of all, and he's just
No,
like
no, no.
a little bit more, whatever,
Texas.
stereotypically gay. Yeah, he's from Texas. How is the Hudson Williams different from Shane?
Well, still Canadian, but like, Shane is autistic. And so like so it's Connor Hudson is like more open and he does not know when to shut up. And he's pretty funny.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So he's a lot more like socially fluid and comfortable than
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. And
Well,
hilarious.
that's great to know. So you went to Montreal and it was a good time.
Yeah.
Had you
Good
been
time.
before?
Yeah. No. No.
Um,
I need to go back when it's not as cold.
it was cold.
So
That's exciting. Okay, so I went to a '90s themed birthday party, or no, birthday party, New Year's Eve party that my friend Tara had. Tara's a really good party thrower. Like there was Pez, there were like all sorts of '90s things, and it
I
was
love it.
fun. But we got, oh fuck, I guess I shouldn't. Whatever. We can forget I said her name. My friend who had the New Year's Eve party. Because this
Yeah.
story is too good to not tell you. And the reason that I'm bringing up is because it was just New Year's Eve 2 nights ago, and we're talking about gay sex shit. So Tara's 80-year-old uncle. Fuck, I just said her name again. So her 80-year-old uncle was staying was house sitting for her while she and her wife were traveling for Christmas. The
hmm
uncle was staying in the guest house. The uncle did not realize that there was a ring camera um, on the house. And so the uncle decided to have some visitors. And by visitors, we mean the uncle had two separate male visitors the morning he arrived. So it wasn't even the afternoon. And the uncle, and it's all caught on the ring camera. And
Oh my
these
God.
men going in and out of the guest house, which, like, it's one thing to like have company when you're at somebody else's house, like that sort of like in general kind of a thing you might ask about in advance, but that these are hookups and there's two separate ones right away, as if that isn't disturbing enough. My friend and her sister are reviewing the footage, and her sister goes, "Oh my God, that's his dick." And so what happened was the uncle was walking these men to the door to say goodbye to them, and the door opens, the ring camera's on it, and the uncle's no pants on. And so not only did the uncle have two separate hookups in her guest house while she wasn't there, and they saw it on camera, but they had to see his dick.
Oh,
How would you have handled that situation?
I think I would have like screen capped
The
his dick
the
and
dick.
sent it to him. Yeah.
It sent it to him. That's funny. That's funny because they were all like traumatized that they had to see his dick. But then at the New Year's Eve party, we of course had to review the tape,
Of
and
course.
and the big headline was that everyone was like, "Your uncle's got a big dick, and he's 80," and like so when some people have heard that story, they're like, "Oh, like for my friend, she's like, oh my God, that was so traumatic." And so she ended up texting him like, "Hey, we're not really comfortable with you like having guests over and stuff like that. Like, just try to be polite about it." I would have been like you, which has been like "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, I would have been like, "What?" But and then I've told other people and they're like, "Oh God, that's so sad." And I was like, "Sad?" I was like, "He's 80 and he's getting that
Good
much
for him.
action and he's hung and it still works." I'm like, "Yeah, God, I completely agree. Good for him."
Yeah. Good for him.
Um, oh my God. Well, this has been so much fun. I wanted to, before we go, just ask how you're feeling about going into 2026 and if you have any New Year's plans or resolutions or things you wish for this year. Because you just had a big year. How do you top like getting married? Like, what's next for Layla?
Um, Finding a job, that's number one. Gotta plan a honeymoon. Don't know when that's happening. And I don't know.
It's so
Just
smart
seeing
that
where it's
people don't
going.
feel like they have to do the honeymoon right after the wedding thing.
No. Well, he had work. We
Right.
started a new job the following week. So I'm like, maybe we'll postpone this. So we just got to figure out what we're gonna do.
I
But
mean, just from a
yeah.
financial perspective, it seems a lot more manageable to not have them right back to back.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Because we just paid the wedding and got to recuperate a little bit.
Yes. Well, congratulations again on that. And thank you for coming on. Was this an okay time?
It was. Oh my God, I was so nervous. I was like, what if I'm boring?
No, I think that you're very like I wanted to get your take on it because you introduced me to it, but because also, yeah, I wanted to get the perspective from somebody whose taste I trust and who also is like similarly shook by what they have seen. It's so funny when like something takes the culture and then like you watch it and then you're like, "Oh, I get it." And I'm going to be thinking about it for weeks.
Still thinking about
This is the type of media that breaks Rory. And then I'm like, but I think to it's like I think going back to like I don't watch like romantic comedies or like love stories that often. Like that's not really like what I like. I write dick jokes, you know what I mean? Like, but like I think
it.
it's like it's a I think what's nice about television and these days is like when we were kids, like it was either a sitcom or a drama or a procedural. Like everything was very
Yeah.
one genre, one shtick. And like in this, like it's super sexy, but it's also super romantic, and it's super smart, and it's very I mean, it's based on the book, of course, but it's very like there's a lot of interesting messaging about the times and a really interesting relation exploration into relationships. Also, as the people on the podcast know, I am in the thick of work with my therapist, who I'm now like 4 months in with, and I texted. I was
Mm.
like, our entire session this Friday is going to be about heated rivalry, so we better be fucking caught up.
I hope he is.
Um, yes. Have you ever done the therapy thing?
No, I haven't. I
I
feel
I
like I
I
should. I don't know.
Well, my thing was I didn't want to become one of those people that's like, oh, now that I've been in therapy for 2 seconds, I'm the person that tells everybody else to go into therapy. But like,
Yeah.
my big deterrent was I was well, like you, I was like, it. I was like, I'm at the age where I probably should have by now. And
Right.
but then I was like, the deterrent for me was how do I find the right one, and then how do I catch them up on all of this time and all of these things that have happened, right? Like, there's too much context. And then two things changed my mind on that. The first is I had a friend who said you can only do so much healing on your own, and I was like, oh, so it's like sort of
Oh.
it's like it's naive of me to think that I can handle my own emotional health entirely by myself without any sort of professional experience. And then the other thing was about catching up a therapist. I was like, I realized in the months that I've been doing it that you don't have to tell somebody everything for them to help. You know what I mean? Like they don't
Hmm.
need to know the whole story. And then it was funny. He was like, so my dad died 5 years ago, I think, as you know, and then
Hmm.
he like I've been in therapy since September, and then like I recently just like happened to mention my dad as part of a totally different story, and my therapist was like, are you aware that we've never talked about your dad? He's like, I know that he
Oh.
died and it was like a crazy story, but he was like, do you know that you've never brought him? And I was like, I wasn't like intentionally leaving it out, but I was just like, oh, I'm seeing that like that that I have plenty of other issues that's not at the top of the list, but like that like we haven't even gone there, and I've already feel like I've made headway on like other stuff. So
Hmm.
that was like a helpful thing for me to realize. I'm not trying to push therapy on you, but I'm just saying like
Yeah.
those were my initial concerns, and then now I feel like I've been like cracked open like by the experience, and so now it's
Hmm.
like a very uncomfortable state because I'm like I feel like a messy goo. Like I'm like I was a certain thing for a while, and then now like with all these realizations, I'm like, oh, like so it's like it feels like change. I'm changing, but it's also like change is uncomfortable, like usually.
Of course. Yeah.
But hopefully we're gonna get like a Rory 3.0 out of this. Like, and I was telling the people in the podcast, like, I tell on myself immediately every session. Like, I'm just a
Hmm.
fire hose of like, and then it's not even like he tells me what to do. He just sort of like makes me aware of what I'm already doing, and I'm like, so I got lucky because I found a really good match. Like I like
Hmm.
talking to him, and he's not judgy, which is very helpful. But that was probably just luck.
I mean, I'm glad you found the right person. And I don't know. Maybe it's in the cards for me. We'll
Well,
see.
I'm not saying you need it at all, but yeah. So I'm trying to carry forward my attempt at self improvement in the new year. But thank you again for coming on. If anybody is shooting a film and needs some locations, you know where to
Yeah,
find
New York
Leila.
City based.
New
New
York
York
City
City
based.
based.
Okay, wait. So that's good to know. So like, what's the uh what's your like region? Like what? So you're not like
New York,
okay.
New Jersey, Connecticut,
Okay.
like
Good.
that. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been honestly such a fun hang and such a fun catch up. And my next
Thank
New
you.
my, can we get drinks my next New York trip?
Let me know when you're here.
For like
Yes.
and we'll take a drunk photo shoot in the subway.
Like old times. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for being on and until next week you guys stay super excited.
Bye.